We're going to start off with talking about how to set up your project for an animatic. It's going to have your PDF, probably what you have right now. Um, you can either take pictures of your individual frames, which this would be kind of an example of what that would look like. Or if you're starting off with your scanned storyboard, then you'll have a PDF that I have shared with you. Once you have that, what you're going to end up doing is what I would do is create a folder specifically for your animatic. That way you can store all your sound, your images, and once you break up your PDF into different images, they can all be stored here. So let's get to it. I'm going to start off with Photoshop. And what I'm going to do is open, I'm going to find that PDF. So I'm going to go to my animatic, open this PDF, open this here, and it's going to open up different pages. I'm going to hold shift and select both of those pages. You might have a lot more. Go ahead and select both of those pages and go ahead and click OK. And what's going to happen, just thinking about it, it's going to open up two different documents here. So it'll open up a different document for each page that you have scanned. Here they've added color, they've added their notes, everything's good to go. So what you would start to do is we're going to start to use our selection tool, and we're going to create these little boxes here. And what I'm going to do is layer copy from each of these. So I'm going to layer via copy once I've selected this. So I've got that done. I'm going to go back to my next layer, and I'm going to do the same thing here. You can decide how much you want to be zoomed in or out, and I'm going to start to create these copies all over. So I got to make sure that I'm in the right, make sure you're in the right layer there. And I start to do this throughout the whole thing. Once you got those all divided up into different layers, what you're going to end up doing is exporting them as files, as separate files. So I'm going to do this one more time just for this one page as an example so you can see what's being done. And there. So now I have them all layered there. I'm going to turn off this back layer. I don't want that one to export as another file. So I've got these done, and if you need to, you can go in and crop and touch up more. I'm going to go to File, Export, Layers to Files. And I'm going to change this to PNG, not JPEG, because you're going to end up with, when you do that with the JPEG, you're going to end up with one little tiny image and a huge white background. And so you do it as a PNG, it's just going to focus in on that one image within that layer. So I'm going to do PNG 24. Visible layers only, make sure that that is checked. Browse, choose your animatic folder that you created. And you're going to, once you choose that, you're going to click OK. I've already done it and I don't want duplicates. So once you've done that, you're going to hit run. And once you go to your animatic folder, it's going to break them all down into the different images just like this. Okay. Once you have that, and let's say you have a sound, and you got some sounds in mind, start collecting those here. Because then what you're going to do, you can go into either Premiere or After Effects. In this example, I'm using After Effects. It's easy to use, and they're pretty much identical. For what we're doing, there's not going to be a whole lot of difference. So once you open up After Effects, you open up a new project. In your project window over here, you can double click on this empty space. It's going to be empty when you open up yours. So let's show this here. Let's say I do a new project. I'm going to save this one as sample. And I'm going to go and save it in my animatic here. All right, so let's say I do new composition, title it what you want. I'll do sample 2. You title it yours. All of this is fine. I'm going to click OK. So right here, you can double click and choose your images. So select all of those. I just shift selected those and import. So it drops them all down here. right? So as a little preview, and what you could do is I would maybe do this in small batches. Maybe as you do each sheet, you can import one sheet at a time, and that way it's less of a headache for those of y'all with large storyboards to get them in order. So once you got those images here, start to drag those layers down and put them in order the way you need them. And so I'm going to go through, and the way that this one has lined itself up is pretty much in a roundabout way in order, but a little backwards in some cases. So, and then the end is the last one. All right, so here I go. I've got all of my images here tucked away. I'm going to expand this a little bit. And now I can start to shorten my slides. I guess slides, your frames for your storyboard. I'm leaving a little bit. What I would do is leave a little bit of these. So here's my next layer, overlapping, because you can add some effects that will let those fade in from one to the other. That way it's not just a plain cut and dry transition. So here I'm just kind of layering these, kind of go on and on this way, and organize them. Go ahead and do that. What I'm going to do is open up the project that I had before. Let's see, open recent. I'm not going to save this one. Okay, so here's the one that I had open before, and I started adding some effects. Your effects windows are over here. On each layer, what I would do, like I said, I have them overlapping, and I would overlap those, fade in and out frames. And so I would drag this onto each layer, and as you see, it kind of creates a little overlapping fading effect between them, rather than something that just goes plain cut and dry like that. I have not added it to that layer yet. So what I would do is take this and drop it right there, and then I'll end up with a little bit more. I need to adjust where it's at. A little bit more fading effect there. Some of these you'll see that this one slides from one side to the other, or this one zooms in. Once you go into your layers, you can change the position. Basically, you're keying out transitions for them. So here I've got a transition where it fades in. That was one of the effects here. And then I have a position. I scaled it first. I made it larger than the window that you're seeing. And then the position, I keyed a position right here and keyed one in the end. And basically it tweens it, and you end up with that motion. So kind of get a little bit animated qualities to it. I'll liven it up a little bit. The next one down, I just basically did a scale. And so here's the scale. I have it scaling from one to the other. That's a good effect if you're if your screenplay or script calls for, focusing in on a certain character, or you're moving into some place. Kind of try to mimic a little bit of the camera work that you plan on doing in your animation. So pretty simple effects there. And then in the end, I added an effect here that has sound. And so I just added a wind sound because it's kind of a breezy, it's windy, it's cold, trying to get that feeling, trying to set the mood for this animation. So as the birds come in, or maybe trees, maybe I'll start adding some wind blowing through trees, or birds sounds, and so on. So, and then at the end, maybe fade it out as it ends. And then what we would do is end up exporting this, and that'll be another video. So go ahead and start setting this up, and we'll get to the exporting. Again, After Effects is pretty cool. It's pretty easy. Lots of effects. Probably even throw in some snow effects over the frames here just to add a little bit of spice to it. So there we go. And that's about it. We'll see you next time with the exporting.